Hello, I'm Michael Johnson from Itasca, Illinois. I'm doing a video here tonight, a straightforward interview. It's been recently published on Wombwell Rainbow Interviews with Paul Brooks, one of our members on our sites. What inspires you to write poetry is one of the questions. A better question would be to ask me, why was I born, or choose to live or die? I don't know if anyone really knows why or what inspires them to write poetry. Do you? I'm not sure if it's a gift or a curse. When younger and emotionally unstable, dipping into crime, exile to Canada, Vietnam War, it was a curse and a release to stay alive. Now, more mature, more stable, it's a blessing, a legacy, something to share, to leave behind. Second question here I've got from Paul. I'm doing the best I can here, so I'm sort of upset tonight because my internet is out and my phone is down. Everything is messed up. Who introduced you to poetry? My emotions introduced me to poetry in 1968. The oppressive feelings of being drafted on my back into the Vietnam worthless war, leaving a first wife and child, losing a student deferment also created an introduction to poetry. It's called stress. Another question here. I'm just going to do a few of these because I don't want to bore you through them all. You can see these on Paul's site. How aware were you of the dominating presence of older poets? That's sort of funny since I'm 71. My introduction to older poets wasn't thinking about their age or past, but what I was reading at the time over coffee. Laid back, I was more engulfed into the words. I saw in print the present living pictures of their lives, the emotional imagery they left behind. If you are referring to who my older poets I admired and took on unknowingly as my mentors, it's really basic. Carl Sandburg was certainly my first mentor. I read everything about Carl Sandburg. I imitated his voice. Second one would be Leonard Cohen, who I met in Canada one time, when he was basically writing poetry, not just doing music. And Margaret Atwood from Canada in her early days when she was writing poetry more than she was doing short stories and other things she's involved in to this day. I also like Sylvia Plath and Sarah Teasdale. Oh, that sexy woman. Of course, lately I basically have got hung up on Charles Bukowski for the last 3 or 4 years since somebody said my poetry reminded me of Charles Bukowski. I don't know if that's such a good thing. You know, he was down to earth and raw as it comes, but really nice imagery and, down at the heart, down and dirty, no big words, just imagery all the way through. He's from the streets. I am from the streets. The only difference is I think I'm a little bit milder, not quite as rough as Charles Bukowski. I'm going to brief through some of these. What is your daily writing routine? I don't have one. It's simple. I was a rebel then, I'm a rebel now. And trust me, self-employed, I just, I think about writing routines, but I just simply don't have one. When something hits me, I put it down, I put it on the recorder. I have a few shots of vodka, that helps me along my way to get a little starter poem going. So I'm not a 9-to-5 kind of guy. Not at all. What motivates you to write? Simple answer, I want to leave a legacy behind my back door. Beyond my cremated bones in an urn. I don't like urns. With age, I have learned whatever success is, it helps along the way if you help others. This I found out to be true. It's very time consuming, but ultimately it comes back to you. I hope to be buried someday with a few of my poems on top of my chest. Oh God, I don't want to be cremated. What is your writing ethic? My God, I don't know how to answer. I'll let you read Paul's interview. How do the writers you read when you were young influence your poetry today? That's a real simple one, basically. They affect me the same way they did then, only I have their pictures on a bulletin board in front of me on my computer to look at to remind me of what they've shared with me in their lives now that they're gone. The other 3 or 4 questions here, I just sort of like to leave these for you taking a look at Paul's interview on his site, my interview. I don't really want to bore you with how many writing projects I'm involved with in the present or the past. It's sort of self-explanatory, some people that know me. What do you want to say about somebody who says, how do I become a writer? This is the last one, by the way. I would say, how do you distinguish desire from flame? Emotions messed up, turned into words. How do you explain a belief you turn into a legacy long term? You work your ass off. You work your butt off harder than anybody else. That's how you become a poet. You have to have some natural ability, and I certainly have some, but I'm very limited in pronunciation, syntax, and spelling due to some childhood illnesses that I had. But the bottom line is work, determination, faith, and heart. God bless you. We'll see you later. Michael Lee Johnson, Itasca, Illinois.